Hey guys, this is your hillbilly historian coming to you on another hot day here in July in the hills of East Tennessee and Appalachia, where the hillbilly historian brings you stuff you won't find in your high school or college textbooks. Today, right now, I'm going to talk about a great American by the name of Dorothy Kilgallen. You might remember Dorothy Kilgallen if you're old enough to remember old black and white TV shows. There was one that was real popular. The title of it was What's My Line? And What's My Line would have four guests and a moderator, and they would try to guess your occupation. And they'd have all kinds of people that did all kinds of jobs come in there, and they would question them and try to guess their occupation. And then they would have celebrity guests, and the host of the show would have to wear a mask so they couldn't see who it was, and the guest would disguise their voice, because about all the celebrities have real identifiable voices. But Dorothy Kilgallen was one of the most intelligent questioners every week on this show. She was just a brilliant damn woman. And Dorothy, she was also a journalist. She had one of the most popular pieces that was in every newspaper in the country just about. And she wrote exposés on people and all kinds of stuff. She was a real true investigative journalist. One of the finest this country has ever seen. And too bad they don't teach her style of journalism in journalism school. They teach a liberal, left-wing nut job. Don't dig up anything against the left. Dig up only, tell lies about the right. That's all journalism is anymore, a bunch of damn liars. But not in the old days, not with Dorothy Kilgallen. She was a true investigator of the best kind. In fact, her investigative skills, I think, got her killed. Murdered by the CIA, Lyndon Johnson, the mob. They put her ass down, killed her, and stole all her paperwork because she knew who was behind the JFK assassination back in 1963. She dug up the truth. In fact, when Jack Ruby sneaked into the basement of that jail and shot Lee Harvey Oswald in the belly on national TV when they were trying to transfer him from the city jail to the county jail, it was absolutely amazing. And Jack Ruby was a member of the mob, the mafia, had connections there. And of course the mob worked with J. Edgar Hoover, CIA. The CIA representative was Bush the first. Herbert Bush. George Herbert Bush, who became the first Bush president. And then his son, W, became president later. Both of them were crap, garbage, rhinos. And Herbert Bush was a member of the CIA, and he was there in Dallas that day. I always claimed he wasn't, but there's a photograph of him out there on the internet standing in front of the school book depository. And Dorothy Kilgallen was digging all this up, Richard Nixon was part of it. Lyndon Johnson was part of it. Lyndon Johnson, they were all at this attorney's house there in Dallas. He went to bed about 3 a.m. that morning, and his lover, which was not his wife, was in bed. And when he came to bed, he told her, said, "After tomorrow, I won't have to put up with these damn Kennedys ever again." So they were working out the plot to effectuate the next day. That was the murder of John F. Kennedy. And Dorothy Kilgallen liked John F. Kennedy. She was close to him, liked him, he liked her, and she always praised him. And she didn't like the fact that he was murdered, and she was digging up. In fact, she was the only investigative journalist that got a private interview with Jack Ruby, a member of the mafia. Jack Ruby told her stuff. And so the CIA, Lyndon Johnson, all of them decided she had to go. And they did. They killed her in her apartment. And all of her investigative work on the JFK assassination disappeared from her apartment that night, the night she was murdered. That's the kind of shit we have in D.C., kind of garbage we have in D.C. You know, they'd rather kill Trump as to let him do great things for this country. That's the kind of crap we have up there in the swamp. They'd rather have a dirty reflecting pool as a nice, clean, pretty reflecting pool. They're crazy. These people are crazy, and all these socialists, Democrats, they belong in a cemetery somewhere. They all do. They're garbage, crap, filth, lime, pieces of gutter snipes. That's all they are. But anyway, Dorothy Kilgallen was a great, great, great investigative, brilliant woman. She wrote an op-ed critical of Frank Sinatra at one time, and Frank went to war with her. Frank was pretty powerful, Hollywood, and in the country, and connected with the mob and everything too. And her and Frank had a war going on, a verbal war. And Frank used to talk about her. She'd write about him, you know, all the evil shit he was doing. And old Frank, he'd talk about her during his concerts, singing gigs, and he always referred to Dorothy Kilgallen as the chinless wonder, because Dorothy had a real small, tiny chin, and he would call her the chinless wonder. And that bothered Dorothy, because she wanted to be beautiful. You know, she was on a weekly TV show expressing her intelligence on this TV show, What's My Line? And Frank Sinatra would call her the chinless wonder. Well, let me tell you something. There's some crazy ass shit out there in California. You know, used to them wild ass women out there, all they did was hang out with Charlie Manson and take pot shots at presidents when they came to California. Now they're elected to Congress, like Pelosi and Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States. That's garbage. Used to, they were part of Charles Manson's cult. Now they're going to Congress and to the White House. It's absolutely amazing how California gets away with this shit. I mean, you know, and they're just, they're pushing blacks like crazy, you know, and they lie about, these journalists today lie about blacks are going to be put back in chains. They're going to end up having to pick cotton. Well, we all know that's a damn lie, because black men are all playing basketball and football and doing real well at it and making great salaries doing it. And the women are at Walmart shoplifting. You know, so they're not picking cotton. They're not going back in chains. They're, except when they get caught shoplifting. But the men are playing football and basketball at all different levels, college, pros, and getting paid at every level now. So they ain't picking no cotton. They're not in chains. They're running up and down ball courts and ball fields. Amazing. But yet, these left-wing nut jobs like this woman on The View, black, and this Joy Reid on MS Now or whatever it was, she got fired from, but she still gets platforms to speak from, and she's batshit crazy too. Oh, we're going to all end up dead. We're all going to end up in chains. We're all going to end up picking cotton, having to pick cotton. You know, they're sitting there rich as hell, drawing salaries in the millions on these TV shows. They ain't going to ever end up picking cotton or anything like that. Jesus Christ. Quit lying to us. Act like you got some damn sense for once in your life. You know, but hey, Charlie Manson's cult, the women in his cult now are getting elected to Congress, like Pelosi, Kamala Harris, you know, went to the U.S. Senate and then as vice president. It's sickening. Sickening. Manson's women ought to all be in jail, not going to Congress. But anyway, Dorothy Kilgallen was one of the greatest American minds that ever lived. She had a lot of good common sense and insight, and she was working on a book on who killed, who murdered John F. Kennedy. Dorothy Kilgallen. Great, great, great American. You know, used her head for something besides bullshit like Joy Reid and Hoskins and all them crazy batshit Charlie Manson cultists. But anyway, this is your hillbilly historian coming to you from the hills of East Tennessee to share my common sense and intellect and insight into the real history of this country. You have a good day.